Well, today we're going to talk about Arlington, Virginia, and we're going to do some pros and cons for Arlington because Arlington's pretty awesome. So, Arlington is one of the first areas in DC that many people will mention when they're kind of discussing the DC area, or the DMV as many people call it here. So, with just 26 square miles and about 238,000 residents, Arlington is the smallest self-governing county in the United States. But don't let this small size fool you into thinking that there isn't a lot to offer here. So today we're going to cover the pros and cons of living in Arlington, Virginia.
1, 2, 3, 4.
All right, so I'm Melissa Terzis, DC Real Estate Mama. Today, let's do the pros and cons. I'm going to start with the pros of Arlington, Virginia. So first and foremost, the number one pro that you've got here is location. And real estate's always about location, right? So Arlington, you're not far from anything. I would rank this as probably the best place to live in the DMV in terms of location. You can easily commute to downtown DC either by car or metro. If you commute up to Maryland for work, it's against traffic. I mean, they say against traffic. I don't know that I necessarily believe that, but they do close some roads sort of coming in, so it makes it a little bit trickier, but it is for the most part like against traffic. If you commute west out toward Tyson's Corner or even to the tech corridor out toward Dulles, this is also really against traffic. If commuting for you requires airplane travel, Reagan National Airport is also in Arlington. It is just east of Crystal City along the Potomac. It is also easy to get to Dulles now by metro with the Silver Line Metro that has opened and extended all the way to Dulles Airport. Next pro, Arlington has jobs, you guys. So perhaps you've heard of a little company called Amazon. Well, they chose Arlington as the site of their second headquarters. So HQ2 is in Crystal City, which has now been renamed National Landing. The Pentagon's also in Arlington, which is the home of the DoD, that's the Department of Defense. Drug Enforcement Agency, that's DEA, for you that like acronyms, that's in Arlington as well, as other employers to include Nestle, Boeing, Rosetta Stone, Raytheon Technologies, and many government contractors and the like. Next pro, Arlington is a pretty friendly place for pretty much everybody. Arlington isn't just popular with like one segment of the population. So Arlington's a place where people move when they're young professionals, and then they will choose to stay through all those life changes that come. Marriage, babies, kids growing up. Kids will go to Arlington high schools, public schools. Even as the kids grow up and move on, people stay. So are you a young professional and you're just out of college and starting a job in the area? Well, Arlington has a pretty decent nightlife scene of its own, as well as easy access to DC. Think more bar and grill though here than like nightclubs and places like that. For that kind of stuff, you will be going into DC, but there are a plethora of one bedrooms here for rent or sale, offering you a place to happily call home while you build your career and your life. Arlington is also family and kid friendly. The county has many different neighborhoods which have a ton of green space, parks, playgrounds. Arlington Parks and Rec is nothing short of amazing. They've got multiple amazing rec centers throughout the county. They host hundreds of classes for all ages. There's fitness, there's sports and sports leagues, arts, dance, gymnastics, aquatics. It's pretty impressive. So the girls and I have taken several classes here. They've taken some dance. I've taken some dance. They've taken art, gymnastics. They do open it up to non-residents after about a week of being open for in-county registration. So sometimes you can take advantage of that even if you don't live in Arlington, which is kind of cool. Another place that I have taken the kids quite a bit is Art House 7. When our art classes were kind of lacking in DC schools at various points in time, the kids had a lot of fun doing additional art classes here. Art House 7 also offers classes for adults. And then hint for the parentals, if you drop the kids off there and you've got to wait for them, there's this awesome Starbucks next door with like lounge seating, and it's very cool, and you can just get a drink and read your book and chill out for a bit, which is what I did, and I really kind of loved it. The next pro for Arlington, the schools are really well rated here. So there's 3 high school pyramids in Arlington, 2 serve the larger North Arlington portion of the county, and then 1 serves South Arlington. So there is like a bit of a socioeconomic differential in each of these 3 high school pyramids, right? And you've got to kind of, take that into account. The grade school scores are not going to be reflective here of the school experience. DC has a pretty varied population. We're very international here. So when children come here from other countries and English isn't their first language and they are still subjected to the standardized testing that translates to those lovely school scores that you see online, this is going to skew the scores, and you just kind of have to know that. So some people will claim that our school scores should be weighted a bit, and that like our 5 here, for example, is comparable to maybe like an 8 or a 9 in a school in another part of the country. So just keep that in mind, that you have to take sort of these scores here with a grain of salt. Next pro for Arlington is great shopping. We have lots of shopping here in both Arlington and the surrounding areas of Tyson's Corner, Alexandria. Tyson's has all the major stores with 2 malls, tons of retail surrounding the malls. They've got pretty much everything that you want there. Clarendon, which is a neighborhood in Arlington, they've got a good bit of shopping as well. There's a mall with department stores also in Pentagon City neighborhood in Arlington that's called like the Fashion Center. On the Arlington and Alexandria border, there's Potomac Yard, which is a really large, like mile-long shopping center with all kinds of the big box stores like Target, Home Goods, TJ Maxx, Barnes & Noble. If you want to cross the Key Bridge, you can get to Georgetown in like a hop, skip, and a jump or 2, because you've got just a few minutes and you can be right over the bridge. Let's talk about food in Arlington. There are a lot of great restaurants in Arlington. Most of them are going to be along one of several like main drags that you'll find in the county. There's the Wilson-Clarendon Boulevard corridor, as I call it, where many restaurants are. One of my favorites, Colony Grill. I mention it in almost all my videos. So they hail from my hometown in Connecticut. All they have is pizza, delicious pizza. It's very thin, it's very good. The kids ask for it all the time. I would eat it every single day if I could. However, we have cholesterol problems in my family, thanks to my mom, who's passed down horrible cholesterol to all of us. So I have to watch what I shove in my face when it comes to cheese. Clarendon, which is a neighborhood in Arlington, also has Balkan food. They've got seafood. They have Four Sisters for Vietnamese. They have Maison Cheryl, which is French. The list keeps going. There's Quarter Deck, which is in kind of a residential area in Arlington, but it's wildly popular. It's a seafood restaurant. It's casual, but they are often so slammed that they recommend that you get reservations and secure those spots for your little butt to sit in the seat. In Shirlington, in South Arlington, there's a whole downtown with a ton of deliciousness. The owners of the local chain Cheese Teak actually just reinvented their location to a restaurant called Corso Italian. There's a Busboys and Poets, which is highly regarded local chain. There's Carlisle, which is American food. Our Mom Eugenia, which is Greek. Yeah, Guapos, and other places that are here on the Strip. On Columbia Pike, I once stumbled into a restaurant called Thai Square to grab something quick after I was doing an open house for one of my listings in Barcroft neighborhood in Arlington. And it ended up being some of the best food I've ever had in my life, at best Thai food. And now I routinely will swing by there, and they are also very well rated. Now, there's every grocery store that you could possibly want in Arlington. You've got Harris Teeter, Whole Foods, Trader Joe's, Safeway, Giant, Costco, My Organic Market, which they sort of locally affectionately refer to as Mom's Market, plus several independent and ethnic grocery stores. So you've kind of got it all here. Other fun. Well, if all of this isn't enough for you, there's still more. A popular Arlington pastime is watching planes come into Reagan National Airport by hanging out at Gravelly Point over on the Potomac River. I even filmed a video here. Here, I'll show you a little clip of that. It was very cool. There's also the W&OD Trail, which is in Shirlington, and it follows the Washington and Old Dominion train line, and it's a hiking path that goes for 45 miles out to Purcellville, Virginia. There's also Mount Vernon Trail, which starts in Roslyn, and that goes 18 miles south through Arlington, Old Town Alexandria, into Fairfax County, and it ends at George Washington's house in Mount Vernon. Now, As far as cons, there's not a lot of cons to living in Arlington, but since this is like a pros and cons video, there's a few that I can share with you. All right, so cost of living in Arlington. So I have videos on the cost of living for Arlington and the area, and it is expensive here, you guys. But if you're moving to the area, you're not gonna necessarily find that Arlington is like any more or less expensive than anywhere else in DC, Alexandria, even Maryland. Like, it's kind of all the same. In fact, when it comes to income taxes, though, Virginia pretty much has a flat tax of 5.75%, and there's no additional local town and county income taxes. There is a personal property tax on like vehicles, RVs, boats, planes, if you happen to have a plane in Virginia. But the governor actually just introduced legislation to do away with this personal property tax. So if that goes away, Virginia is actually going to kind of be the front runner in terms of cost of living and being the most cost effective as a place to live for most people. All right, the next con is traffic. There's really not much that needs to be expanded on here. The traffic in most areas of the DMV is pretty abysmal. It's not 24/7 gridlock in Arlington, but there are a lot of cars here on the roads, and you just have to find a way to like happily share the road space with all of these other vehicles. And then it's crowded. So this kind of goes hand in hand with traffic, but yeah, it's crowded here, and it's not gonna get better anytime soon. In fact, Arlington's population consistently rises, even though the last couple years they had a little bit of a dip by a few thousand people. Is that a blip? Is it a trend of things to come? Nobody knows. Time will tell for sure, because there is so much to love about Arlington, though. I am betting that it is just a blip and that this will always come back, especially in light of the fact that they're trying to create what they call missing middle housing, which is going to be essentially making more density to the housing so that more people can live here, but it's also more affordable. So that is Arlington pros and cons. I live quite close to it. I love it. I think it's great there. If you have any questions about Arlington and life there, my contact info is coming next.